This is very exciting. Hi, I'm Dale Peterson, and this is the Unsolicited Response Show. Been a while since we've had an episode. We'll get back to it now that S4 25 is over. I actually am going to cover S4 in this episode, so if you're not interested in that, just wait for the next one. I already have an episode in the can with Maggie Morgante, and then I think the episode after that, I want to dig in a little bit with some people on what the impact is of all these layoffs and firings with the U.S. government. You know, what it means for the U.S. government's capabilities, what it means for the community, and what it means for some of our friends. But this episode, we're going to talk about S4. Let me start out by thanking the 1,193 attendees, the about 60 speakers for spending a week down in Tampa. I think we had a great time. We've put out a post with the numbers. There were 52% new attendees, 197 women. That was 16.5% women, which is up a little bit, but still shockingly low. So we continue to work on that. I guess when we look at it, you hear those numbers. Our goal at S4 has never been to be the largest event. For a few years, we were the largest event in OT security. I would guess now that probably goes to HUSECCon. That's a very large event. I think they have almost 2,000 attendees and 8 different tracks. Very different type of event, though. At S4, our goal is to really build an event, curate an event, tailor an event for the advanced ICS Security Pro, for the early adopter, for the people that are really pushing and desiring change in the community. And we really build the whole event around that. The 1,193, we will not top that next year because S426 is back in Miami South Beach. And we are capped just based on size there at 1,100. We reached that cap at 23 and 24. So I would expect that 26, which is February 23rd through the 26th in Miami South Beach, will be something you want to get your ticket early for. I would expect that one to sell out by mid-January at the latest. And as always, the first 36-hour tickets are going to be your best price. We have a lot of new things planned for S426, 2 major things, I would say. But for those of you familiar with Miami, have been there before, it's back at the Lowe's, Miami South Beach. There will still be the welcome party at the Botanical Gardens. We'll still have on Wednesday afternoon the cabana sessions around the Surf Comber pool. So it will seem very familiar, but as always, we try a few new things to change things up. One of the things that happened, though, I think, interestingly at S425 is I had so many people come up and say, is the event going to be in Tampa? Is the event going to be in Miami? Why are you changing? What are you changing? So what we know for sure, we will be back in Miami one more time at S426. After that, it's becoming very difficult for us to hold a show in Miami. We are just getting priced out of the market. For example, we were asking Lowe's for some dates in 27 and 28, and we were looking at room prices. These are discounted group rate room prices of $493 a night. Now, maybe that doesn't bother you, but I think I would have a hard time getting a lot of companies to send someone down to Miami South Beach at over $400 a night. Even if we pay down the rooms to, let's say, $399 or $400, it just probably isn't viable. So we're still looking, but I'm treating this as our last time in Miami. So we're going to do it upright. We're going to definitely do the things that we really enjoy doing and have some new twists. But one of the things that I wanted to show you here, and let me share my screen. Share this. One of the questions we asked in the poll was, should we hold the event in Miami or Tampa? And you see there, it didn't really help us a whole lot because it was a mix. 23% said yes, Tampa, great for Tampa. 18 were a little less positive. So about 41% said yes, we prefer Tampa. About 30% said we don't care. And since 52% of the people are new, I'm guessing that's a lot of the new people didn't care. And then about 29% had strong feelings about Miami. So we're like 41-29. Really not much of a help there in terms of where to hold the event. But we know it's going to be in Miami in 26. We will let you know about 27, but treat 26 as the last time in Miami. That's why in those shirts, if you got one of the S4 concert T-shirts that talked about all the times we were in Miami, South Beach or North Beach, you saw 26 was last chance. And I think this might be your last chance. Let's see, what else did I want to cover? Let me check my list here. My writing got smaller. Put my glasses on. Feedback. We really appreciate the people that filled out the survey. It was great. We take your feedback very seriously, and I'm going to give you some examples of that. Overall, though, we tend to focus on the negative things, the things that people said, we would like this to change, as opposed to positive things. It's human nature, and we're always looking at how we can make it better. We saw, though, that on a scale of 1 to 10, the average ranking was a 9.2, which is just tremendous. So we're thrilled with that. And the net promoter score was 75%. Almost unheard of for something to have a net promoter score, an NPS of 75%. So people loved it. They continue to love it, and that makes us feel great. That's very gratifying. Especially that this was the first time at the new venue in Tampa. So we learned a lot there. There's a lot of things we would do differently if we went back to this place in Tampa. And in fact, Liz Daly, the event planner, who I think many of you have met over the years, and I sat down for 4 hours doing our own debrief, just on our own notes of things that worked, things that didn't work. And then we also spent another block of time going over your comments. And I'm not going to go over all of them here, but I want to hit some of the major ones and also just let you know how seriously we take them. For example, we had a few people comment that there should be coffee and water all day. The water all day is a no-brainer. There was actually water all day, but that comment means it wasn't easily accessible. So that's something we're saying, okay, for 26 and onward, we're going to make sure that there's plenty of highly visible water stations so people can get water all day. Coffee all day is interesting, though, because in previous years, and this was probably someone who had been at previous S4 events, we did have coffee all day. But we looked at what that was costing. In S4 in Miami Beach, you're not going to believe this, we spent $223,000 on coffee. $223,000. $200 per person on coffee. And you know, we have all the records. They weren't cheating us on this number. It's just that they're constantly keeping it warm. They can only leave it out for so long. We had multiple stations so everyone could get coffee where they wanted. And quite frankly, the coffee in these gigantic urns is not so great. It's certainly not worth $200 per person. Whereas serving coffee during the morning and some breaks, this year it was down to $59,000. So we have a choice. We can say, yes, we should listen to the comments, coffee all day, and raise ticket prices $150. To me, that doesn't make sense. Or I guess we could cut something else out that cost $150. But For us, it would make more sense to say you can buy a lot of lattes at the coffee shop downstairs for $150. We might look at trying to get a coffee shop upstairs so you can buy your coffee, but we probably won't go to coffee all day, but we will take your comment about water all day. One of the ones that I think was on my list and many people's list was about day one, about Tuesday. People missed the main stage on Tuesday. They missed kind of having the big kickoff. And then they missed having the welcome party on Tuesday. We had the big party, which was got a lot of compliments, was a lot of people's favorite. We had the big party on Wednesday, but I felt the same thing. I felt like the energy just wasn't there the first day. And we tried that because we weren't going to do the cabana sessions on Wednesday. And we thought, well, let's do 2 full days and have kind of like a Tuesday pre-day where there was a ton of things to do. And I think there was plenty to do, but energetically, it just didn't work. So we're going to take that comment. Of course, in Miami, the schedule is the same. So Tuesday will be the opening of the main stage and the welcome party will be on Tuesday. But even if at 27 we held it somewhere else, we wouldn't have that pre-day like that. That just energetically didn't work. Let's see what else I had here on. Oh, birds of a feather. This was one of the things that people really liked. Even though we did it probably as easily, I was going to say lazily, but we did it as easily as we possibly could. We just basically had some volunteers, picked some topics, created some rooms, announced them, and people gathered. That's one of the two things that we're really looking to step up and do differently at 26. I have some good ideas. We actually had them back in December. We just didn't think we could pull it off at 25. But that was an example of a positive comment that we heard from many, many people. Just a couple more. The Women in ICS Security Dinner was a huge hit, but one of the comments we got repeatedly face to face, a lot of people walked up to me and told me this, and then in the surveys, was that the women didn't know about it. And this was because it was a private event. S4 didn't really, it was I guess, an S4 adjacent event. We didn't have any contribution or control over it. So we didn't really feel like we could put it on the agenda because it wasn't an S4 event. But we've talked with the leaders of that dinner, and next year we're going to do that differently. We're going to find a way. We'll probably, be one of the large sponsors of it, and put it on the agenda so every woman who comes will know about it. We'll put it in the emails. We'll promote it. I heard it was fantastic. I just popped my head in to say a couple of words, but it was a huge crowd. It was a highlight. It was one of the best things listed on many surveys. Another negative, box lunch. People really didn't like the lunch on Tuesday. It was actually a bag lunch. By the way, those S4 bags are reusable. They're washable. Hopefully you didn't throw yours out. We've used those at home. We got one from the Naval Academy from a niece, and they're really tremendous. But we thought it would be a great way to explore the venue. You pick up your lunch, you go to where you want. But overall, the reaction was negative on that. So we won't do it again. We listened to you. Some people missed a CTF. We had a number of comments saying, I wish there was a CTF. I don't know that we'll have a CTF every year because a lot of events have CTFs. And once everyone starts doing it, we start to say, well, maybe we should move on. We like to be kind of at the front edge. Again, we're going for the early adopters, the thought leaders, the people that are advanced, so they've done this a number of times. So we haven't done a CTF for, I think, 2 years now, but we are going to do a CTF at S426. I feel like, the first ICS CTF was, I believe, in 2015 at S4. I know it was at S4. I just can't remember the year. I feel like S4 Miami birthed the ICS CTF, so we have to do it one more time. And I think we have a couple of things that will make it great and nostalgic. So those of you that were missing it, there will be one. The pavilions. This was an interesting one. The startup pavilion got mixed responses. First of all, the vendors loved it because they were in a prime location that everyone walked by, and they got a ton of traffic. I mean, you get 1,000 people in a place where everyone has to walk by. They got a lot of traffic. Personally, I didn't like it. And I might be in the minority on this, but I don't want S4 to be an event where you are forced to go through a lot of exhibits that it's like you see a lot of these events where there's a ballroom, you serve lunch in the ballroom, and there's a whole set of booths around the outside, and you get coffee in the ballroom and everything. So you have to interact with the exhibits. Now we do a little bit of that, but this was too much for me. So if we went back there again, I don't think we would put those exhibits on the third floor. And I felt like there was one place on the second floor too where it was too in your face for me. And then again on the startup pavilion, I don't think there was as many innovative startups as we had hoped there would be. We kind of made the definition looser than we really wanted to at the start. We wanted to find a way that we could bring, really creative new companies to your attention if you attended S4. And I feel like there were a couple of them there, but overall, I didn't think that was done right. And that's a minority opinion. We got some comments that it was the best thing, probably from the vendors in there, and some comments that the startup vendor booths needed to be bigger. But I just don't think we'll be doing that again. That was more my feedback. And then the vulnerability management pavilion is sort of the same feedback. We have tried this a number of times. So we tried the detection challenge twice. We tried an SBOM challenge. We tried the vulnerability management pavilion now twice. And it just has never gone like we wanted. We really wanted it to be something where there was an ICS there and all the pavilion members interacted with it and you saw something unique, that it just wasn't exhibits with sales pitches. And it ended up that I think only 3 of the vendors really used the data from the ICS Villages system. So in that sense, it was a disappointment. I know the vendors were thrilled. They got a lot of foot traffic. I know some of the attendees were thrilled. They liked seeing the exhibits. But we are going to try something different next year. We're still working on what it is. It's going to be called the Real Solutions Pavilion. And I think I'm probably going to need to get more involved in this. I've been pretty hands-off on this over the years, but I think I need to get more involved, not so much for my technical skills, which are not what they were 10 years ago, but more for just being a forcing agent on the vendors, on the supplier of the ICS, to just say, look, this is, if you're going to be in here, this is what you're going to do. And if you don't do that, you're not going to be in here. Even if you bring your stuff and you don't do it, you're not going to be able to exhibit. So we're still working on that. But I have some high hopes for that. And other than that, I mean, we've got so many little comments here. I'm gonna kind of wrap this up. For example, but just to tell you how much attention we pay, we had some comments that the karaoke stage was too loud. And I'd agree. It didn't need to be that loud. So, we're going to note that for if we ever go back and do a big party there, to check that volume throughout the night to make sure it's not too loud. Just all sorts of things. Some things, though, were mixed. It's funny because some people said, oh, the hotel was great, and some said the hotel was too high end. Some people said the food was great. Some people said the food was not great. So we look for trends. But we do, just to finish this up, we do look at everything. Top to bottom, good comments, bad comments. We look at everything. And I really appreciate those that submitted them. If you have any and you didn't submit them and still want us to consider them, you can always email info@s4xevents.com. Let me close with this. We have some key dates coming up. Actually, let me close with two things. The key dates are the sponsor packages actually came out now. So if you're interested in sponsoring, you should get that. It's up on the site, or email us at info@s4xevents.com. You should get your application in by April 1st. A lot of the packages go in that first batch. The next key date would be June 15th. That is when the call for presentations opens. I will put out a video on how to increase your chances of getting accepted. We will have three stages again. They will be very similar to what you saw at S4x24. So you want to get your presentation in early. Earlier improves your chances. Then I think they close on August 30th. Ticket sales are September 15th or 16th, whatever that Monday is. And again, that's where we get first 36 hours, you get your best price, regardless of how many tickets sold. Last year, I think we sold 500 in the first 36 hours. So if you waited till day 2, you ended up paying like another $400 per ticket. So if you know you're coming, you should really point at that date. And then, of course, the key dates are February 23rd to the 26th in Miami, South Beach. That's when S4 is going to take place. I told you there were two things. The last thing is, if you want to keep up on what's going on, S4X Events on LinkedIn, we put out a weekly newsletter, which many weeks will just include the videos we release that week. There's also a video release tab on the S4X Events website, so you can see all of them there, or you could just go to the S4X Events YouTube channel. So that's pretty much what happens from this point on. We put out videos 2 a week. I'll put out some clips on my own feed and LinkedIn, and then they have those key dates. And so it kind of slows down up until the CFP opens. That's it for this show. Next show, we get back to the stuff you probably really like, such as Maggie Morgante. And if you do have a suggestion as to who I should talk to for reactions on the government firing and laying off large numbers of people with OT security backgrounds, that's the U.S. government, email me at, what's the best one? Maybe info@digitalbond.com. Whatever you see, I see all the emails. So just email it to one of the many emails I've mentioned, and I'll see it. And with that, let me close the show.